Hi, my name is Connor Miller for LeTourneau University Criminal Justice and Human Rights, Unit 6. I will be discussing the topic I chose for the human rights research paper and give you reasons why I chose this topic with some background and history of the issue. I chose violence against women, specifically intimate partner and sexual violence in the United States, as it is an issue women should not have to overcome. Statistics show intimate partner violence, IPV, is widespread and occurs more than people are aware of. There has been shown to be a problem of violence against women in the United States, specifically IPV. Factors contributing to IPV and sexual violence can include health consequences, family impacts, and societal and economic costs. To address these issues, several groups have formed to eliminate the issues such as World Health Organization or WHO reign in the National Network to End Domestic Violence. Laws have also been passed to protect and give rights to survivors. Partner intimacy and sexual abuse against women is not just a serious infringement of the human rights, but it is also an ongoing global problem caused by inequalities between men and women, social structures, and not enough legal safeguards. Dealing with the current situation will call for complex strategies which involve complete legal changes and widespread education. This is a society issue and public health problem and will take educating men on responsibilities, respecting women's rights, building relationship skills, empowering women, providing services and support for women, and transforming attitudes, beliefs, and norms of society. In the early 1980s, domestic violence was not an issue that held any weight. It was overlooked as a lover's quarrel that many just turned a blind eye and women did not have a voice. Women would go into the emergency rooms with black eyes, bruises, and broken bones, and advocates would take photos for them to take to court to finally have evidence to make the invisible assault visible. Solar references 4 steps to initiate the fight against domestic violence. 1. In the beginning, there is an organization of an underground networks opening shelters and homes for abused women. There were bake sales, car washes, and fundraising efforts to collect funds in these efforts. Finally, the federal government began funding these shelters. 2. Begin to change the laws. Solar lobbied for legislation fighting for the Violence Against Women Act. She was challenged by Congress, who referenced her as the Take the Fun Out of Marriage Act. 3. Increase visibility of the crime by engaging public and starting a public education campaign. 4. Engage men by urging them to talk to their children. Unfortunately, social media has been a positive platform for domestic violence, helping get the message out and making the invisible visible. Violence against women takes many forms. Emotional violence has been estimated to be the most common form of IPV. According to WHO, 1 in 4 women have experienced physical and or sexual violence by an intimate partner or any person in their lifetime. People who are at greater risk of being a victim likely come from lower education background, poorer socioeconomic status, and have a history of substance abuse or may have been exposed to prior abuse or violence. Health consequences of IPV may include homicide or suicide, physical injuries, sexually transmitted diseases, abortion, mental health disorders, depression, or drug abuse. IPV can also lead to post-traumatic stress disorder, sleep difficulties, and eating disorders. The rule of law is the foundation for healthy communities of justice, opportunity, and peace. The rule of law is a principle that states all people, institutions, and entities are subject to the law, which is publicly known, enforced equally, and independently educated. The rule of law is a core element of the United Nations human rights and humanitarian agendas. The United Nations has recognized the rule of law as a universal and indivisible core value and principle. The rule of law is important for sustaining peace and is a foundation for the humanitarian protection regime. IPV can involve both criminal and family law systems. The rule of law in IPV cases includes criminal charges, restraining orders, and firearm ownership. Some of the laws passed to protect women and victims of domestic violence include Violence Against Women Act (VAWA), enacted on September 13, 1994, to improve criminal justice responses to sexual assault, domestic violence, dating violence, and stalking and to increase the availability of services for victims and survivors. Family Violence Prevention and Services Act, first authorized in 1984, and supports life-saving services for victims of domestic violence and their children. Children Abuse Prevention and Treatment Act, enacted in 1974. Lautenberg Amendment makes it a felony for anyone convicted of a misdemeanor crime of domestic violence, such as an assault or attempted assault on a family member, to ship, transport, possess, or receive firearms or ammunition. Debbie Smith Act provides funding for crime labs to process DNA evidence. In conclusion, I hope I have covered the many issues and complexities of intimate partner violence and the laws that have been enacted to protect and serve survivors and victims. Solutions to this issue are ongoing and ever-changing. Society's attitudes and education have helped to reduce occurrences, but the issue is still a major contributing factor to violent crime statistics against women. More needs to be done and law enforced to further reduce and eventually eliminate this unnecessary violence towards women and the lack of availability resources for women to access.